Hello, welcome to episode 23. It is. He says that really shakily, but yeah, I'm just checking my notes. It is definitely 23 of No Holds Barred. That's Sal.
Good afternoon.
Hi, I'm Don. And those of you watching on YouTube and Spotify will know that we've got another special guest this week. So I'm going to throw over to Gary to introduce himself.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name's Gary Gilligan. I'm essentially just recently retired, having spent most of my career as a learning and development director, running training organisations all around the world. So I'm beginning to learn how to kind of be retired and have hobbies and time for stuff like that. So I spend a lot of my time writing and also trying to learn another language and trying to sort of generally help people. So I'm quite sort of busy on the internet. So I'm kind of using the coaching and development skills that I've had in my career. So more of that later, but I don't want to over talk for too long. So that's a good start.
You talk for as long as you want, because without your help and support and assistance, I would not be sat here right now.
Well,
You're
thank
an
you,
incredible
Sal.
human being.
That's very kind.
So if anyone's got any problems, ask Gary. He's brilliant.
Yeah, just to add to your workload. Yeah, thanks for coming in, Gary. It's really nice to have you in. You're kicking off a 6-week run, I think we've got, of guests coming up of on the pod, which is quite exciting and quite daunting because some are quite well known, let's say, and we're not giving anything away. So, as always, we're going to take a look at all things political and social, no holds barred, and yeah, that's it. Let's crack on. Just a little heads up that I'm a bit off my game this week. I've got quite severe back pain and waiting for an operation on that, and just to go alongside it, really chronic tinnitus in one of my ears, which is stopping me from sleeping. So if I'm fumbling or stumbling, that's the reason why this week. So that's all. But let's crack on with the show. We'll be fine.
You have all our
I'm
empathy because it's rubbish.
Thanks. I've got an MRI tomorrow morning, so I'll know exactly what's going on after that. So, but it looks like maybe more surgery, unfortunately. Yeah, in Cheltenham,
you might
of all
find that
places.
you're infected with Farage.
Yeah, I don't think that they're not scanning my brain, thankfully, just my back.
Oh, righto, fair dues. They won't find him there.
They won't. Right, so what did we say? We'll start with a reform roundup. It's massive this week.
Yeah.
We managed, we did a mammoth Anyone that listened last week will know that we did almost 2 hours. Well, that was after the edit. It was about 2.5 hours before the edit. We'll try and keep it a bit shorter this week because I'm sure Gary doesn't want to sit here for the next 3 hours. And I've got to have some dinner and stuff. We're going to start with reform this week because we didn't get that far with them last week. And unless you've been kind of hiding under a rock, you'll know that Nigel Farage has been hogging the limelight again. He's been out in the press twice significantly this week. He started with a press conference earlier in the week about Reform's latest back of a fag packet policy, which is that they're going to deport everybody, several million people by the sounds of it. They're going to cancel the indefinite leave to remain scheme, and it's all going to be a benefit,
including Zai Yusuf's own parents.
Yeah, I wrote that on Twitter. Zai Yusuf's parents would be deported. Layla Cunningham's parents would be deported. Nigel Farage's girlfriend would be deported. It's almost like they haven't thought it through. So, yeah, the press conference really was just a load of rubbish, as they always are. He came up with
Was it just a presser to announce this nonsense?
Yeah. They have to have one every week. They have one every week, don't they? Because otherwise they drop out of the public kind of like consciousness.
Do you think it's them trying to control the narrative so that they aren't just answering questions about his tax affairs?
I think that's a big part of it for sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Because you know, I know we've got a guest coming in a few weeks who's very well known for looking into this stuff, Mr. Ethical. But I mean, I don't know if it's all about that, but that's definitely a part of it at the moment. They just do it all the time, don't they? They just kind of, we've dropped out of the newspapers. We're not in the media this week, so let's have a press conference about something. What can we think of? And it's always about immigration, isn't it? And it's just a different way around to look at their immigration policy, because that's the only one they've got. And this week's was no different. They came up with some numbers which were from the CPS, the Centre for Policy Studies, which is a bit of a Thatcherite think tank. And he decided that it was going to save the country £243 billion. Oh, I think over is that right? Gary's nodding, yeah. Over about an 80-year period.
80 years?
But that, yeah. But that figure was then really quickly rubbished by the CPS themselves. I know. 80 years. If you're not watching on video, like, general hilarity has ensued. Because, yeah.
Even the contracts that bound the COVID vaccine enshrined into law into a safe isn't 80 years, it's like 75 or something.
Yeah, something like that.
I just, fuck me. Sorry,
well, you can't.
Don, go on.
No, you're fine. You can't knock them for their optimism, can you? I mean, like Farage will be long dead by that point. Whoever's going to be running reform at that point, I don't know. But anyway, their 80-year figure was £243 billion of savings, which was then, like, the Centre for Policy Studies went, no, that's wrong. We put that out ages ago. That's not real. And they basically completely distanced themselves from that number. To which Farage then came out and said, actually, it's more than that. We've found that we can save more. And I don't know, it's 300 billion or something. He's just picking numbers out of the air, isn't he?
In only 150 years.
Yeah. Over the next millennia, we're going to save
Sally, you sound slightly skeptical.
Do you think?
Yeah. Yeah, just a bit. I know, but so this was the start of the week, and then it rounded off with an interview. Every month on LBC, Nick Ferrari has Farage in to do like a call in, and he gets people to call in and ask questions, and they're pretty heavily curated.
Bit of tummy stroking as well, usually.
Yeah, exactly. Little tummy tickle, and I wrote a bit, right. I wrote 1,400 words on this yesterday, and I was going to put it out on my Substack. And then I got to the end and I've changed my mind, and I'm not going to write it out because I found something at the end which is far more interesting, but we'll come to that later.
Oh, you tease.
I'm learning how to do this. But basically, I've got to give Nick Ferrari a bit more credit this month, because he was a bit harder on Farage. He pushed him a little bit harder than I've seen him do in the past, which is unusual for Ferrari, because he kind of pretty much wedded himself to reform by this point. And so I'm just going to have a quick look through it. I say that, but Nick Ferrari said, "Oh, it's an absolute privilege to have you sitting here in the studio with me," which was,
since
a
yesterday.
bit of a
Bit past the sick bag, to be honest, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. In my notes, I just wrote yak. But he started going on. The first question was about Ed Davey, actually, and Ed Davey's conference speech, where apparently he mentioned Nigel Farage 30 times. And Farage responded to this claim that he was mimicking. So Ed Davey had said that Farage wants to mimic Trump and bring Trump to the UK, and which Farage responded by saying, "You've got Farage derangement syndrome." So he's responding to the claim that he's
copying for him. Fuck me.
Copying Trump by responding with one of Trump's own phrases. So yeah, exactly. So I don't know. He said that Ed Davey was a joke, and then he said he went on to first name Kemi Badenoch. He called her Kemi. He said, "Oh, Kemi's all right," which I found a bit weird.
They're all mates.
Call anyone but
Jesus.
Wow. He doesn't call anyone else by their first name. And I heard him say, "Oh, and Kemi's okay, though." Weird. Anyway, nothing. So
maybe he doesn't like writing bad Enoch, because he likes Enoch.
Yeah, maybe. the first lie I caught was for Nick Ferrari had mentioned something that Ed Davey brought up about Farage talking about banning of handguns in 2014, said it was a ludicrous policy. He said that that's a lie. He never said that. He only talked about the Olympic team, which I've subsequently got a link to Guardian in January of 2014, where it says Farage calls gun laws ludicrous. So that was a lie. A lot of stuff about...
He's worse than Boris at this point.
Yeah, he is, totally. Because he's got there's no detail with Farage, and if he's not allowed to spout his sound bites, everything just unravels for him. He's not quick on his feet. At least Johnson, I mean, he could waffle enough with enough big words to make himself sound, slightly intelligent, couldn't he, Boris? And he had the vocabulary where Farage definitely doesn't have that, does he? So he's
no,
he just gets annoyed.
So at least Boris has got a little bit of charisma about him. Farage is just nasty, man.
I'm not going to go through
He's
every
just
question.
He's con man, isn't he?
Yeah, but basically he started talking about he wasn't actually going to deport everybody like he said he was 2 days previously. When he was pushed on it, he said that there would be an exemption for carers, which Zahir Yusuf said wasn't going to happen. So that was...
This is the second time they've rolled back on the same policy, isn't it?
Exactly the same as they did on their... What was it called? The one they did a few weeks ago in the aircraft hangar. Project...
Yeah.
Something or other, whatever. Yeah, exactly. But they did the same thing, didn't they, then? And Yusuf was like the hardliner, and Farage then backtracked from what Yusuf said, and he's done the same thing. So Ferrari pushed him a little bit, and he said about...
Wasn't it?
Go on.
Wasn't it this latest one where Yusuf took the mic and then Farage had to correct him sort of off mic while he was live in flow?
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, but there was a bit of it where Yusuf made some ragingly mad assertion, and even Farage went, I can't do that.
Sounds about right. Yeah. Oh. Sorry,
okay.
Some breaking news that's come up. We'll come back to that in a minute.
God, what now?
So
was a worry now, Don. What's happened?
Microsoft are blocking Israel's use of its technology, it says, which is interesting.
Okay, that's okay.
That's different, isn't it?
Good with that.
Well,
it's an
I'll find it in a minute.
Anyway.
When you do some talking in a minute, I'll have a look at it properly. But yeah, so Ferrari pushed him again, and he said, "Well, what about people from Hong Kong, Ukraine, Afghanistan?" And Farage went, "Oh yeah, no, they're fine. They're not going to get deported either." It's like, okay, so you've exempted carers, people from Ukraine, Hong Kong, and Afghanistan, and the caller on the call was an American lady who worked in finance, so was very wealthy, but she had American citizenship. And he said, "No, you'll be fine. It's just immigrants, foreign-born immigrants who are on benefits." And he just kept saying it was, "Oh no, it's just benefits. It's just people on benefit." And then when Ferrari pushed him on the numbers, and he said, "Oh, your numbers are rubbish," which is what he said, which is quite impressive for Nick Ferrari. Farage just went, maybe it's 180 billion. I'm not sure. So he just chops and changes. Like I said, he can't think on his feet. He's got no deftness or swiftness of thought about him at all. So he just suddenly dropped it from 240 billion to 180 billion because he was challenged. So I said in my notes, I just put he's got nothing under pressure. He can't cope with it. And then, so there's a few bits. He was asked about the paracetamol thing, which I think we're going to talk about a bit more in depth. So we'll come back to that later. But he basically made a comment. He's saying that his science is never settled, and said that we were told that thalidomide was safe, which I think is just a tasteless, gross comment.
Not the same thing. It's just a raging false equivalence, isn't it?
Isn't it?
Actually, if I may add there, Don, that quote, "science is never settled," seems to now be the mantra whenever any reformed person is asked a science-based question. Because Tice said exactly the same thing in an interview this morning. So that's clearly their get-out-of-jail card when they start talking nonsense science.
Yeah, I saw. Did you see the thing was it last night with Richard Tice when he was suggested that Asim Malhotra was their health advisor, and he lost the plot completely, didn't he? So,
Indeed.
is that how dare you? I want you
I
to
mean,
apologize. I think it was with Romilly Weeks actually, the interview, and he said and he was like, apologize now. That is not true. No such thing. And then David Bull last weekend at conference introduced Asim Malhotra
Dr.
as the man
David.
who wrote. Yeah. Oh yeah. Sorry. This is Asim Malhotra, the man who co-wrote our health policy. Literally last week. I mean, they can't get their ducks in a row. Ducks is going to be a theme
Because
of
they've got
this as
no
well.
ducks.
But yeah, literally. Yeah,
and they don't know what a row is.
So that's a good bit of accidental foreshadowing as well on what's about to come up in a minute. Oh, we're getting good at this. Well, it was ducks, swans, you know. Anyway, yeah, he was asked about Trump's comments at the UN about London being under Sharia law. He said Trump never said that. A lie. Another lie.
He did. He said it at the UN, didn't he?
Yeah, he said it in front of the
He
UN.
went for
I've got
car?
it on. I clipped the video. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God.
So that's a third lie he was caught out that I found anyway, out and outright. Then he went on to say, and I reckon this might be the worst thing he said, was that he was told by a taxi driver in Buckinghamshire that Muslims were trying to take over the country. Like, right.
I've said it before and I've said it again. After over 60,000 years of man walking Europe, now is definitely the time they're about to take over. It's definitely right now.
Yeah, I know. Oh, that's crazy. But it's just the fact that he's gone from like Andrew Tate as a source to a primary source to now a random taxi driver in Buckinghamshire. It's like, wow, you're not exactly putting your credibility status up, are you? But anyway, yeah, blah blah. There's stuff about the royal family. He just said I didn't know Epstein. That's about the fourth time I've heard him say that, which leads me to wonder if there is something there. You're right, Sal. You're looking.
Yeah, I've got a wasp. Sorry.
It's
been buzzing since we started recording, and I'm like, where is it?
Sure, it's not a drone.
It's fine. I've got more than one. That's why it's so loud. I'm sure it'll be fine.
Do you need to deal with it? Yeah.
Next door, I've got a nest in the eaves. They've had it for years, so I just sort of generally usher them out with a magazine.
Yeah.
But they'll be fine. Be all right. It's just
you're not suddenly going
to.
As long as you're not allergic and have an anaphylactic shock.
I mean, that's something to hope for, isn't
it? All right, let's quickly fly through the last few bits of this. Yeah, he was asked by a caller what his what he'd do if he was prime minister to achieve peace in Gaza and Palestine. And he normally swerves that question. I've heard him ask that a few times and he doesn't normally answer it, but he went for it this time. Kind of waffled a lot, but then basically said that the whole Palestinian population should move to the desert in Jordan. He said there's a patch of desert in Jordan. I know. Yeah, there's a patch of desert in Jordan not being used, he said. So why not move them there? And Ferrari said, well, how much is that going to cost? And he just kind of laughed and he went, well, they did it in Palm Springs.
Well, do you know what we should do? We should all go and find Nigel Farage's girlfriend's house in Clacton and just move into there and just take it over and it'll be fine because there'll be some other patch of land that they can go and live on.
Yeah, I've got his address, so...
I know. That's why I'm suggesting it.
Yeah.
It's what we should do to every Zionist.
Oh, it's terrible though, isn't it? Like, oh, they've done it in Palm Springs. Yeah, that's not the same, mate. Which is... kind of leads me to think that's why he doesn't normally answer that question. And I was quite surprised when he went for it, but hey.
When were the Palestinians in Palm Springs?
Yeah, fly him out to Palm Springs. Yeah, why not? At Steve Bannon's expense. He also said that Starmer's reason for recognising Palestine was just for the Muslim vote. Anyway.
Do you know quite what? A lot more. Can I mention something about that? Just sort of having a little swerve. Be interested in your opinion on this, Gary, because it might just be me having weird takes like I do. But when they all announced the other day that they were recognising Palestine as a state, And then Netanyahu comes on doing his whole, like, angry rant. To me, it almost looked like they were just shooting the starter's gun for him. And it looks to me like some sort of time-scaled plan. Maybe I'm just unbelievably suspicious, but, you know, he's just invaded Gaza City. No one's going to go to their rescue invading, which is the only way the Israelis are going to get knocked back into their own lands, is by another bigger force coming for them. Because as we know, that's how these people behave. You've got to out-fuckery them. And, you know, what's it actually achieved? How much closer are we to having peace? I'm not saying they shouldn't have done it. It just seemed unbelievably orchestrated, and I can't figure out exactly why.
But yeah. I think there are quite a few things that are kind of difficult to comprehend. I mean, I find it very hard to understand why so many of the kind of Western governments are not more kind of forceful in terms of criticizing the actions that Israel have been taking. And, you know, you get the sense of something you don't know about that's there. And that's another, to my mind, another manifestation of it.
Yeah.
And lest we forget, Tony Blair's right up in the redevelopment, isn't he, already?
Yeah.
With his foundation or whatever it is.
Yeah, there's definitely some strange things afoot that we are not being, we're not party to, unfortunately. But I don't know. We shall see how that plays out. But I mean, we can't. The flotilla is still going, isn't it? I was tracking them yesterday. The Summit flotilla is still on its way, although they've been attacked and lost a boat yesterday, I believe.
They have, but Italy have sent a warship to chase them up to security. Italy. Where's everyone else?
To support them?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, good on
Today, that happened. It's taken long enough, but right, who else is doing it?
Indonesia, apparently.
We've got loads of them. Some of them are probably already in the area.
Yeah, they're probably just round the corner by Cyprus somewhere. Yeah. I saw, was it Indonesia said they'd quite happily send 20,000 troops into Gaza right now as a peacekeeping force. And they spoke at the UN the other day. But that's the only people that have said we'll do it concrete at the moment.
I think Phil was talking about that, and I just got unbelievably confused by the machinations of how the UN work.
Yeah, quite complicated.
Yeah. It's I mean, what worries... Sorry, that came off the back of who the frig thinks that there won't be peace by 2029, please? That's concerning.
Yeah, true. Yeah, that is very true.
Unless, as you say, they know something we do not.
Yeah,
but it'd be the best kept secret in the world, wouldn't it?
Well, I've been listening a lot to The Rest is Classified recently, which is all about the workings and goings on of our security services, and there's an awful lot of shit we don't know. So, yeah. There's a lot of stuff
Bearing
that's
in
kept
mind,
from us.
You'll be talking about, like, not the brains of Britain again, but the most manipulative of Britain.
True. Very true. So, yeah, let's quickly rattle through the last bit of Farage at LBC. Yeah. No, I'm not... See, there's a bit at the end of what he said. He said he was going to meet the governor of the Bank of England, which he did apparently today with Richard Tice. And it was for two reasons: to talk about quantitative easing and to talk about crypto, apparently. Now, I've done a bit of digging, and he mentioned this company called Tether, which is what they call a stable coin. It's a Bitcoin cryptocurrency. And Tether is a brand, effectively, of, there's loads of these different coins. But yesterday, just after or just before Farage appeared on LBC talking about this company called Tether, it appeared in the FT and various other financial papers that Tether was fishing around for an extra 20 billion worth of funding to boost its market value up to 500 billion. Now, Farage dropped that name 2 or 3 times on LBC, and I just did a bit of digging on it this morning, and Tether is run by, or owned by, rather, his parent company is owned by Christopher Harborne. Now, Christopher Harborne, in case anyone doesn't know, is Reform's biggest donor. So, Harborne, I've got this. This will be coming. Yeah. He's been a big political donor over the years, but he's currently Reform's biggest donor. So I've got an article coming out tomorrow about this. So if you want to head to my Substack, you can, and it'll be out tomorrow. But there's an awful lot of shady shenanigans between Christopher Harborne, Nigel Farage, and this crypto coin called Tether, which Farage, I think, as far as I can see, has been paid by his boss to talk about on live radio. So no one pulled him up on it. And go on.
Sorry, go on. Christopher Harborne is a traitor. British-born businessman and tech investor based in Thailand.
Yeah, he's in Thailand, yeah.
So he's a traitor.
Yep. Yeah.
Just saying.
So no one pulled up Farage on this paid advertising that he did for this crypto coin yesterday. It's not been mentioned on Twitter because everyone's talking about swans. So
do LBC do adverts?
They do
do adverts, but but I don't think politicians are allowed to drop advertising in a interview situation. So
we can spam the shit out of that all over Twitter. Let's let everybody know.
I'll have my article out either later this evening or first thing this morning, which has got a load of detail in it about that because it's weird. So that's it, really. Farage appeared on LBC, and now everyone's talking about him saying that Romanians are eating swans, which they're not, obviously. But hey.
Just a little aside regarding Farage, sort of, and the whole right issue at the minute. I still cannot get my head around the fact that the people on the right are trying to protect our women and girls, whilst hero worshipping an adjudicated rapist. What the fuck is wrong with them?
Yeah.
I know.
Is it okay to rape women and girls when you're loaded and just not when you're poor? Is that what it is? Because that's the only difference. Or famous and loaded, who knows? But, I'd like to. Just saying.
Yeah, it's horrible. It is horrible. So, I know. Although I did see they took a drop in polls yesterday, which is interesting. I don't know. Yesterday was a weird day for them. Their messaging was all over the shop. Farage's interview was weird. Like, I don't know. They've just lots of people commenting online saying how kind of off they went yesterday. It's what day is it? It's Thursday. So it's your theory of Thursdays again, Sal, that everyone's going for reform today because it's a Thursday. You said it loads of times.
Goodall's holding them to account.
He did again today. I saw Lewis Goodall going on about Farage again today. It's your theory of Thursdays is completely valid, I think. So.
Don, were you going to talk while we're on reform about Andrea Jenkins and her performance on the interview with Sangan Debonair, etc.?
No, I've missed that completely. Please fill us in. Yeah.
I've seen some mutterings, but I tend to like.
She was recently on a program, and there was another guy. I don't know quite who he was, but he was pretty good. And there was Sangan Debonair on a panel, and she was basically defending the Trump comments on Tylenol, but not from the same angle as Farage and Tice, i.e., the science isn't settled. But she was doing some ridiculous sort of anecdotal arguments. One was based on the fact that she claims one of her relatives was in a coma because of the COVID vaccine, and why that has anything to do with Tylenol, I don't know. But Sangan Debonair, and it's brilliant watching her body language because she was really sort of trying not to sort of do the Olympic gold-winning eye roll based on what Andrea was saying, and then Andrea rounded on her and sort of said, "I don't know why you were so quiet. Are you practicing yoga?" But it's worth looking at the the whole interview, because basically Jenkins is willing to just spout the most nonsensical, anecdotal nonsense in defense of her great leader. It's a brilliant thing to watch, just to see the body language. So, strongly recommend it.
Do you know what it was on?
I don't know, but I'll take a look, and
Is it Politics Live?
I'll try and send you something. I think it might have been Politics Live.
Yeah, if you've got it,
I'll try and find a link and
cool.
send it to you. It's classic.
Yeah, please.
And the other guy who was also good, he didn't sort of sit there and roll his eyes. He was absolutely laying into her, and very coherently as well.
Yeah, she's just swapped places from Boris Johnson sycophant to Nigel Farage sycophant, and she'll just say whatever. And she doesn't really think what she says very often, or she can't think. But yeah, if you find that, send it, and we'll put a clip in, or at least a link to it if we can get it.
Yeah, we'll
definitely. That's worth a watch. Excellent, cool. So, what else have we got? Yeah.
Well, we could segue into
I was just
our listeners' request to have Gary on.
Yeah. Can I just finish the last thing I found on my notes? Sorry, I forgot. Is about, and it will segue actually into this a little bit, because it was about Richard Tice and being angry and called out, and then Carol Sikora, the kind of anti-vax doctor, actually this morning, I think it was, came out and rubbished Nigel Farage's interview yesterday and said, "This is absolute nonsense. Paracetamol is not linked to autism. It's rubbish." Now, coming from someone of that,
who's already conspiracy theorist.
Yeah, exactly. But also, Carol Sikora is listed on Nigel Farage's anti-WHO group website as working with them. So, like, he's got the Action on World Health campaign group that's set up by Nigel Farage, lists Asim Malhotra and Carol Sikora as part of their team. So now to have Carol Sikora rounding on Farage to say that you're being an idiot, obviously paracetamol doesn't cause autism, is quite a jump from his position at the Action on World Health.
Bear in mind they're anti-WEF and they take donations from WEF members.
Yeah, well, fair enough. True.
I'm sure Farage will just respond saying the science isn't settled yet, Carol.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the new
new mantra.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, as you said.
Oh, my brain. Stupid woman can't remember words. What's the thing? When we discuss stats on. Oh my God! I've got quantitative easing stuck in my head, and it's not that.
It's not that.
What do we always argue over that they don't understand, but we do, and they think we don't?
Huh?
With statistics.
I'm not sure what you mean.
You do.
Per capita.
We do it all
Correlation
the time.
and causation.
Yes, that's what I mean. Per capita. It's the new per capita. God, we got there in the end. Sorry about that. Oh.
Yeah, it's their way of weaponizing something that's true and making it not true, but by making it sound like it is true. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Smoke and mirrors, in it.
Yeah,
sorry, Gary.
As always. Yeah.
Okay, you want me to talk about autism? Yeah. Okay, so I've been invited on today to talk a bit about my experience. My son is on the autism spectrum. I probably want to start by saying that on one level, I feel like a bit of a fraud. I don't think I'm by any means an expert, but obviously I am a parent of a son who's on the spectrum, and I did also write an article for Central Bylines on the World Autism Day, and interviewed a couple of other people, and I kind of collected and made some notes about some key things that I think are relatively common. Although probably if I were to leave you one message today, I think the key thing is to say each person on the spectrum is unique. So you know, probably the biggest takeaway I'd like to leave you with is, you know, do not sort of stereotype or pigeonhole, because it hits everybody differently. In relation to my son, and this is not an exhaustive list, but some key things that he experiences, which, for example, I don't, is first of all, he experiences a great sensory sensitivity in certain things. So, for example, he's incredibly sensitive to heat. So, in the recent heat waves, for example, he's really struggled. You know, when it's been really, really hot, you know, if it's above 30 Celsius, then he's really uncomfortable. And that, for example, has been a problem in his job, because he works in an NHS office, and they heat the place like a greenhouse. And although they know that he's on the spectrum, and you know, they're supposed to make reasonable adjustments, you know, if he even tries to open a window, if he can find one that hasn't been painted shut, there'll be people trying to close it, etc., to keep the heat in.
Yeah, really.
So that's a key thing. Another key thing, which was quite common to the people that I interviewed, as well as to my son, our son, is that he's quite kind of rule and routine oriented. So he has a really great sort of love of, you know, for example, you know, I will kind of slightly wake up every morning at 5:30 when I hear the motor for the power shower going on, because at 5:30 on the dot, he will take a shower. Uh, as an aside, he's also very much an early bird. Even when he was like 3 years old, he used to come in at 5 a.m. and tell us that the birds were waking him up, oblivious to the fact that he was waking up. But
yeah.
And similarly, you know, very much sort of timetable based. So, for example, our evening meal, we typically eat at 6 o'clock, plus or minus 5 minutes, because you know that's sort of part of the daily routine.
Yeah.
But also very rule oriented. One of the things, and you know, it came out in the interview with a couple of the other people I spoke to who are also on the spectrum, is that one of the things that they sometimes struggle with is that they are often very kind of black and white, and if the rule is you shouldn't do it, then whereas you or I might kind of, you know, bend it a little bit or something, you know, I mean, I think all of us, for example, you know, if you think about, I don't know, a plastic bottle or something like that, you know, you know you should put it in the recycling bin, but every now and then you put it in the black bin bag, and you know that now, you know, sometimes due to laziness or whatever, I will do that. Our son would never do that. It's like, you know, that is the bin, etc. And therefore, they, you know, another little thing is that our son and a couple of other people I interviewed for it are quite keen on games, and they're gamers, because in computer games there are very clear rules and they are immutable. Whereas, you know,
so it's a structure.
You know, we are more confusing because we have much more grey areas in the way we interpret living life.
Unpredictability. Yeah.
Another key thing, again, that relates to my son, is interaction issues, in terms of interacting, particularly with people he doesn't know, or the first time he's doing something that you know, he hasn't done before, like going to a different shop or etc. And he would really struggle, for example, asking for directions or do anything. And one of the things that we've had to do is to kind of, you know, if he has to make a phone call, for example, to somebody he hasn't called before, or on a topic he hasn't done before, particularly my wife will sit with him and support him to do that. And once he's done it once and it went okay, he will be all right. And then, he doesn't need the same thing, but it's a very kind of big thing for him to do. So I tried to think of some bits of advice that I would give, in terms of how you can successfully interact with somebody who is on the autism spectrum. And I've got three particular thoughts based on my experience. The first thing, and I've said it's the most important one, is there is no such thing as one size fits all. I personally, and it's just a purely personal view, like the phrase neurodiverse, because the way it's coined and what it's meant to say is simply that the people that we say are on the spectrum are simply wired, their brains are wired a bit differently to the way mine is. And there's no value on that. It's not better, it's not worse. In many ways, it is better. I mean, another thing that occurred to me as I was preparing to talk today was I remember a few times trying to help my son with his A-level maths homework, because a bit like me, I did double maths A-levels, and likewise. And in all honesty, I often, when I tried to help, I felt pretty pathetic, to be honest, because whereas I got good grades at maths A-level, etc. I was very good at learning the theory and applying it, but I wouldn't say I had a great feel for it. Whereas it was very clear when I was supposedly helping that he had incredible instinct, way beyond any, and an understanding and a comprehension that just was way beyond mine. So in that sense, he's superior to me, if you will.
It's a superpower. Yeah.
The second thing is, it's really, really vital not to kind of diminish or to ridicule somebody because they struggle to do something that you find easy. It goes back to neurodiversity again. I might find it very easy to ring up a complete stranger like Sal or whatever, and and talk and do the call and think there's nothing to it. But if somebody has a sense that there's a lot to it and that's the issue, then it's completely unproductive to say what's wrong with you. It's only a phone call or any of that kind of thing. The reality is that whereas you might find it easy, they are wired differently. So get away from this idea that pull your socks up, get over yourself, any of those kinds of things. And then the last thing I wanted to say is, and it's really the converse of this idea that there's no one size fits all. One of the biggest mistakes I think you can make in trying to interact effectively with somebody who tells you they're on the spectrum is to try and to second guess or to assume that you understand how that impacts on them. So, for example, I've given you some examples of what it means for our son, and those are completely valid in talking about him. But if, for example, sorry, Sal, to keep picking on you, but if Sally told me that she were also on the spectrum, I would be an idiot to assume that she has extreme sensitivity to heat, that she has trouble. Sorry, Sally, you wanted to say something?
No, just funny enough, Gary, I mentioned last week I do have acquired autisms because that's what can happen to trauma survivors because you become so analytical that you, as a kid, that you end up growing up with. That's why I'm, as you know, as most people who listen to this know, I'm not normal, mate. And conversely to your son, I am petrified of being cold mainly because it makes my body hurt. But I've dressed too warmly today because it looks like it's cold, even though it's not. Just because it looks like it might be, and like when we've had conversations and stuff. I didn't pick the phone up for about 5 years because I couldn't handle other people.
Yeah.
And so it comes from different directions. But just while I've got some airspace, I'll go back to you in a sec. There's a guy on Twitter who's autistic who is amazing. His account is Living with Dan, and he does brilliant little short videos, and he's just all round fabulous. So I recommend everybody go and look at him. Sorry to interrupt. Go on.
Well, just one last point, and it links to the point you was making about your experience, Sally. Given that they are all different, and it's wrong to assume, one of the most powerful things you can do if someone tells you on the spectrum is, rather than trying to guess because you know somebody who has X, Y, Z, is to just ask them. They have a very strong liking for being understood, so it's a really smart thing to do is to sort of say, how does it impact you? How can I help? And instead of being kind of well-intentioned but doing all the wrong things, to actually let the person advise you on how you can best interact with them, and if you can do that, then you've absolutely cracked it. So anyway,
it's like you were saying, being second guessed is so annoying.
Quite, yeah.
When you don't sort of have a brain that works like the norm, let's call it the norm, the middle of the spectrum.
Yeah, the term I dislike,
and
but
it's a bit different.
Yeah.
But that's when you get the whole "I don't understand, therefore you're stupid" thing, and it's just like,
anyway,
just ask. Don't tell me what I'm thinking. Ask me.
Yeah. Well, anyway, that's what I had to say. I hope that's helpful.
Oh, that's wonderful.
No, that's fantastic. Thanks, Gary. Yeah, the reason I spoke to Sal about this a while ago. I got a message from a follower on Twitter called Ryan, and he's in his bio it says he's an autistic advocate. He suffers from ADHD, and he's got a little nephew who's autistic and ADHD and severely learning disabled as well. He's non-speaking, non-verbal and stuff. But he got in touch with me a while back and said, would we talk about this? And it was off the back of us discussing the attacks on the Motability scheme for disabled people. And it was off the back of that purely because his nephew, the family receive Motability because, the nephew is severely learning impaired and has autism and stuff. And that was all. I just wanted to mention him because he's a really nice guy. And he basically told me, they're both autistic, but they both present in completely different ways, which just goes back to what you were just saying, Gary. It's really not one person is the same, but that's the same with autistic people and non-autistic people. And I think that should be a carry through to everyday life, is don't judge people, just kind of let them be. And if, as you said, ask how people if they need to be treated in a different way, but just ask questions, but be nice to people. And yeah, it's a strange thing because we're just sort of, I saw again yesterday on LBC Nick Farage talking about anxiety. I think it was this morning even. Oh, everyone gets anxiety. Nobody should be off work. Nobody should be off work with anxiety. And these attacks on mental health are just getting worse from the right wing.
Dare he talk about that with absolutely no education or knowledge?
Well, correct.
How dare he? How dare he make out like epigenetics and neurology don't exist because he's never heard of them?
Exactly.
And these people have a platform.
Yeah. It's just sad. And it's just, yeah. So I just wanted to mention Ryan because that's kind of the reason we were talking about this now. And he got in touch with me and he was happy for me to chat to him about it. And I'll put a link to his page because he's another person online on Twitter that talks about autism a lot. And he's a really good guy. That's all.
Here's a segue for you. Guess who's been bashing Pip for fraud again this week? Not that we were going to mention the Lib Dem conference, but why don't we?
Was it Davey? Yeah. That's right.
Davey went in and used the Pip fraud rage line again. That's a nonsense.
Yeah,
Ed
good.
Davey, who's a carer to a disabled child. This is why I keep saying the man is a placeholding plasticine play actor. He shapeshifts as and when he needs to. And it pisses me off because when he does a good thing, I always get excited and then I forget that he's just, the post office. He voted against letting higher education be free, and now we have a mass shortage of academics in this country. Who saw that coming?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I forget. It just seems very like a big British farce rather than, democracy.
Yeah, I just think there's a whole thing coming from America, isn't there? And it links in with the whole Trump and paracetamol, Tylenol ridiculous.
But it doesn't make any sense because he was going on about that himself. He's the one who stood there saying Farage just wants to be Trump. Don't let America come to Britain. Oh, but PIP fraud.
Yeah. I think the whole attacking the disabled and the people with mental health issues has come from America primarily. Well, certainly this round of it anyway with Trump.
Well, that's the aim, isn't it? They want to privatise the NHS. That's not a secret anymore.
No, it isn't.
Nobody more so than Farage.
Yeah. So.
And weirdly, I saw I retweeted Wes Streeting this morning. Who I can't even remember what the tweet was about. But I think it was something along the lines of, it was very simple. It was like, paracetamol doesn't cause autism, pay no attention to this or something. And I retweeted and went, the thing is, if you addressed media regulation, this wouldn't be a thing. So, what the fuck? Everything you're doing is pointing towards the fact that you are encouraging these people. So, what gives?
Yeah, mixed messaging again, especially from someone like Wes Streeting, who we did a bit on a few episodes ago, like 20 episodes ago or something now. But he's got this sort of strange background of being a socialist and then becoming a what was he, an investment banker or something before he moved into
Price
Waterhouse
executive management or something.
Yeah, Price Waterhouse PwC. Yeah. So
yeah.
that's a shame about Ed Davey, because like you said, we have talked about him in kind of positive terms in the last few weeks, and then sort of suddenly comes out with something stupid like that. He can just literally get in the sea like he did at his conference, didn't he? They were all running and jumping into the sea.
I've just seen him giving some sort of speech to circle of people like they do. I think it was outside, not in a factory at this point. But I don't know who the behaviour people are that they've got contracted, but they are shit. That man is made of wood. He was literally robotic whilst trying to gesticulate. I've never seen anything like it.
Who, Ed Davey? Oh, right.
Yeah.
Oh, weird.
It's embarrassing. And he's paid people to teach him to do
that. Talking of wooden politicians, Keir Starmer's lost another comms director this afternoon. Takes it to a grand total of 4 now.
And Max Sweeney somehow is still there.
Yeah, we were chatting briefly beforehand, weren't we? And it's very odd that McSweeney is basically Starmer's Dominic Cummings. I think we sort of agreed on.
Oh, he's carbon copy,
isn't he? It's the same situation, isn't it? He's got something on Starmer and Starmer won't let him go. Like Johnson was very loath to let go of Cummings, but just in the last 2 months, Starmer's lost James Lyons, Steph Driver, Paul Ovenden, and Joe Dancy, all directors of comms for various wings of his cabinet, his government, and they've all quit. So it's a bit of a mess over there. Oh, you're right, Sal. Look like you're in an earthquake.
Yeah, just destroying the place as usual.
Earthquake in the northwest. But yeah, I don't know. What have you got anything on that, Gary, about how Starmer's kind of wobbling, shall we say, is kind of kind way to put it?
I wouldn't really kind of like to comment in a way. I have some kind of rules, if you will, that I stick to with regards particularly to social media. And one of the things I've studiously steered clear of is any sort of comparisons between, for example, Keir Starmer and Jeremy Corbyn, because I'm overly,
they both have a head and some legs.
very sympathetic to what I'd like Labour to be. Before, for example, the last election, I saw a lot of the kind of rabid, pro Corbyn or pro Starmer, and complete dissing of the other party, if you will, was completely unproductive. If you see what I mean.
It's monumentally childish, isn't it?
Quite, yeah. And so I tend not to comment on Starmer, and in the same way, I don't comment on Corbyn on the whole, because I just think it's and Sal, I think this you'll probably touch on this when we talk about your party. I kind of think one of the if we consider ourselves, for example, to be broadly on the left, one of the things that people on the right, in my perception at least, are way better at is to kind of say, when it comes to winning elections, even though we might privately hate each other, we need to give a sort of a view of unity. So, an example, a case in point might be Andrea Jenkins' ridiculous defence of Farage over, Tylenol and the duck eating. Because in the same interview that I referred to, Don, she did say that she talked about she knew about ducks being eaten in Boston in 2015. Yeah. So therefore,
no swans.
Was it swan? Well, she talked about ducks as well. But
you can eat duck. You're allowed to eat duck. It's delicious, but you're not allowed to eat swans because the king gets a bit up at it because he owns them all.
Yeah, but you can eat duck as long as you buy it in the supermarket, not go and hunt your own.
There's loads of ducks. I don't think anyone will give a shit.
And Sal, I don't know whether this is a segue to talk about the Your Party launch, but it has been an object lesson to my mind in people who have great good intentions and and an ideology, if you will, who have really caused great problems. I mean, I must admit, I held back with regard to Your Party because I wanted to see if the leading protagonists could work together. And the last couple of weeks, in my mind, has been an object lesson in how to screw up the hopes of a large number of people. But anyway, that's it.
The Your Party thing. So they announced their happening a few months ago, didn't they? Except Jeremy Corbyn hadn't been told that they were going to announce it. Somebody jumped the gun.
Was the start.
And then they somehow smoothed that all over, and everything was in the works for conference. And we were waiting, and we were waiting, and we were waiting. And then all of a sudden last week, some of us got an email saying, Your Party's here, the membership portal's open, roll up, roll up. And I went, yay, at last! Yay. Take my money, like a dickhead.
Yeah, please.
Next thing you know, Corbyn comes out. You've been scammed. A fake portal's been opened and blah blah. And I'm like, what? So I rang the bank because the way he worded it, it made out. I thought it was a right wing attack. I genuinely thought that's what it was.
He said cancel your direct debits, didn't he? That was his message.
Yeah, but you can't do anything for 2 weeks. Actually, turns out,
is that
even
right?
if you wanted to.
I didn't.
So
I didn't know.
Waiting for Your Party to come out and say, "Oh, this has happened," and then of course, turns out Zara Sultana has yet again got the bit between her teeth and jumped the gun. The whole point of the party is supposed to be everybody working together for each other.
Cohesion, yeah, exactly.
And I'm like, what? What? How is this even happening?
Yeah.
I'm still quite, speechless. But they basically yesterday, I found it because I got an email from them I've not had a reply to the email I sent last week saying, "Where's my money? Can I have it back, please?" Nothing.
No,
Nobody's been addressed at all. And then they send out we sorted it all out. Everything's fine. Here's your actual membership portal. Please go and pay again. And I'm like,
really?
Fucking what?
No thanks.
You haven't even told us what you're doing with our memberships, and you want more people to join a different portal.
Yeah,
Get your messaging sorted, you mad idiots. And so I tweeted quite ferociously yesterday morning because I was it's not just that I'm angry, I'm disappointed. I'm fucking broken. 15 years I've been waiting for this. We've got fascism on the doorstep. And they're doing this. What? We need people who are competent, who know what they're doing, who are unified in their one message. You can have different opinions, but if you're unified in the end message, the rest can be discussed later.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand that, like, she's not happy joining a party where there are people in there who are transphobic. They're not happy with her twice jumping the gun, it would appear. There's obviously going to be stuff we don't even know about. But it seems so petulant when we're in this position. We can't afford to be pissing people off like this. And why would anybody want to be part of a party who, before they've even had a conference, are in such a mess?
Mm. Yep.
What the what?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, you sort of
what am I missing?
Go on, Gary.
Sorry, there's actually another thing I'd like to get to the bottom to, Sal. The bottom of, sorry. I haven't tracked it, and I'm not an expert, but another thing that, to my mind, is unresolved is that you mentioned like there were two different portals in terms of the launch of the party. I did see a thread yesterday in some detail also suggesting that because under the first portal that was launched, which you signed up to, I saw a statement from some people who are, I think, the trustees of an organisation that your money went to, who put out a statement about
Feinstein and Jamie Watson.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, all of those ones. Somebody put out a fairly detailed thread yesterday saying that actually the money that people are the money from people who are signing up on the new site is going to a different organisation or a different company than the one you signed up to. Now, I haven't validated that, and I don't know that it's true, but in my mind, that's an unresolved question because it seemed that the one you signed up to, that there appeared to be some kind of governance and trustees about how the money was going to be spent.
They accused Sultana of illegality, didn't they?
Yeah,
she was being reported for fraud.
Yeah. So I mean, if you
was it fraudulent? Was it not? Pick a lane.
I mean, I thought it was quite funny today that actually Zia Yusuf wrote, who normally I would not give the time of day, wrote a very snide post on Twitter having a go at your party, saying, if we'd be happy to send in Lee Anderson as a mentor to help you how to launch, to be able to launch a meaningful party. And I thought when Zia Yusuf is able to write stuff like that, you really are in trouble.
Yeah, exactly. That's the problem, isn't it?
Yeah.
They've just had too many errors.
Well done, dickheads.
Exactly. Yeah, there's just a litany of errors that they've just left themselves open to this abuse now, haven't they? Exactly that. Yeah, it's just.
I mean, it is a shame, and I mean, I hope that they can sort it out. Because Sal, I very much sense from what what you were saying yesterday. There are a lot of people who have put a lot of hope into this, and they I think they deserve that they are, basically treated a lot better than so far they have been. But anyway, we'll see.
Definitely.
I'm concerned because I genuinely think, assuming it's a legitimate organisation and not just fake establishment shills playing a part, still, jury's out on that because you just don't know the day these days, do you? They're the only thing that are going to hold off fascism, and if they can get themselves organised, they'll rattle the shit out of reform. And the trouble we now have, that I think you put out quite what's the word? A vociferous tweet the other day, Dom. Not vociferous, that's not the right word. One of desperation and frustration.
Yeah.
Because you identified that there are 3 media outlets in the entire country that can be trusted with facts.
As far as I can see, yeah.
We seem to be, because we work differently to America with our press, it seems to me that what Trump did, co-opting Musk to subvert democracy in America, is being tried out here. But because we don't have the Musk effect, what we do is we have the Murdoch effect. And we have the tech bros behind the Murdoch effect paying for the Murdoch effect. Plus a bit of Musk, depending on what mood he's in when he wakes up and who he's in bed with. And these people are the only people who are going to shoot them out the water if they're legitimate. Which is why it matters so much, Gary. That's why I get so angry. That's why I'm pissed off with people for blocking me for being angry about this. Because if you can't organise yourself into something that makes a political party, Reform have managed it, and they're like, we're a gang of intelligent people. But because we're intelligent, sometimes we think too deeply about things and can't see the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Definitely.
But if they don't get their shit together, we're sunk. Zach or no Zach, as good as he is, he can't hold off the entire right on his own.
No, he definitely can't.
And I just worry that they don't get the ducks in a row until it's too late. So that's why I'm angry, because it matters so much.
Yeah, the Bear put out wrote an article the other day about 2029 is coming fast. We need to start preparing for this right now. It's a really good article. If you don't follow the Bear, do, on Substack, but Barely Politics. Pardon me. But it was his point is that we haven't got much time. There's 2 ways of thinking about this, and I said this the other day, that I can't see how Reform keep up this perpetual campaign for the next 3.5 years, because I don't think they can. But also maybe they can, and maybe they've got the money to do this, and maybe because Steve Bannon's behind them, they will. But I don't know. But
I genuinely don't think that all they've got is shitting on poor people. So that means the elderly, the unwell, or immigrants.
Yeah.
Even if... Sorry? Well,
yeah, all of the above, yeah, exactly. Yeah, God help you if you're an elderly
It is human nature that we get bored of things.
Yeah.
People get bored of hearing things, and eventually they'll stop being so angry because Labour will have implemented a few bits that's making their life easier. And these 3 talking points will not last 3.5 years. They just won't. And Reform have got nothing else. So they've either got to force a general election somehow, which they were trying to do all summer, as we know.
Yeah.
Or they're out. I think that's, or they're out. And this is with them co-opting all the press. All of the press. And they still only have those 3 talking points.
Well,
so, no, I agree. I don't think it will.
Thank you, Gary.
Take care, Gary.
Take care.
Bye-bye. Oh.
Yeah, cool. Thanks to Gary then. Yeah, we'll carry on for a little while longer before I have to go and get my dinner as well. But yeah, thanks very much to Gary for jumping in and having a chat with us today. It was really interesting, especially stuff about autism. It's something we should be much more aware of, I think, and
neurodiversity in general.
Yeah, absolutely right. And it just goes back to what you just said about attacking people like the Reform lot, the disabled, the elderly, immigrants. Those three categories are the ones they go for, and that's why we had Gary on talking about autism and how not to be, not to be horrible.
It's literally just bullying people.
Yeah, it is bullying. It is playground bullying. So, but yeah, I don't know. With reform, yeah, they've got the money, haven't they? That's the problem. They've got the cash behind them, and they've got. It all comes back to Steve Bannon. It always does
massively. I'd love to know how much it costs them to fund the Xbox.
Yeah, I know, a lot, an awful lot. But it seems like they've got unlimited cash at the moment, and there's lots of work being done behind the scenes by me and other people looking into things where the money's coming from, and we certainly know a lot of it's coming from Montenegro. We know a lot of it's coming from this fella George Cottrell and his mum.
How much are we talking?
Was lots of millions, like 3 million or something like that. His mum's put through, and that was only on the last. So I've got another Twitter colleague called Chris who's helping me out with this. He's an accountant, and he's been doing some looking through the electoral register of donations for us, and he's putting something together for me. So hopefully we'll have something a bit more concrete on that next week. But it's just, you mentioned my tweet that I put out the other day, and it was a bit like, I think I said, I'm almost on the verge of giving up because, and I said to you, you texted me about it, and I said, it's just, you feel like you're screaming into the void sometimes, because between us lot and Mr. Ethical and the Bear and Reform UK Exposed, and there's a few of us have found more stuff about Nigel Farage and Reform than the actual national media have wanted to put out there. And then we've only been looking for 6 months, but we've managed to unearth more stuff than the actual press
without getting paid a bean by anybody.
Exactly, and we're just shouting and shouting and shouting, and nobody wants to listen. It seems like, but I had a bit of a wobble. But
listen, I have them nearly every day now, and it means I have to go away and do something for an hour, and then I feel a bit better. But it's actual despair. It's what I keep, we've talked about deaths of despair a few times. This is the despair. Just because your despair isn't a health issue or financial doesn't mean you don't experience despair. This current climate should have everybody in despair, but people don't tune in, so they look after their mental health. But if we didn't, who would be doing this? Nobody. And if we didn't do what we did, Doge would still be a thing for reform. Yeah. And now it isn't. So we know we're making a difference, and we need to use that to drive us forward.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
We are making little changes, and lots of little changes lead to a big change. So,
and
we need to just keep
just on that one tweet, which I wasn't going to mention because I kind of forgot about it more than anything. But I got a lot of hundreds and hundreds of replies to that tweet saying, just don't give up. We're behind you. That
you are very widely adored, my friend.
Yeah, but it's not just me though. I think it's you and me doing what we're doing here. It's me doing my writing. It's the Bear. It's the Reform Exposed guys. It's all of us, Mr. Ethical again, and the finance guy. This little group of us doing the work.
That's his Twitter name, incidentally. Don's not just being rude. The finance guy.
The finance guy. Yeah, I think he's actually one finance guy, isn't he? But yeah. Yeah, so I had over nearly 700 replies saying, keep it going, we're behind you. And again, as I say, it's not just me. I don't take that as me personally. I take that as us as a group working at this but that gave me a real boost. And then the following morning, I was able to get back out there and find out a bit more about Farage and his crypto stuff, which will
for all its terribleness, Twitter is an amazing source of support. I say Twitter, all the wonderful people on there. Our gang.
Absolutely. Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. I've never been one to put stuff out like that on Twitter before, really, generally. But the amount of sort of love and support I got was incredible. So
people
I really appreciate everyone that sort of took the time to reply and just mention and say hi. Because it does make a massive difference when we're doing this stuff. Because as you say, sometimes you get to this level of despair where you're just screaming into the void and nothing's happening. And you're like, ah. But that was
makes you want to punch a window, doesn't it?
Exactly. It does sometimes. It's Sisyphean task I wrote, which I think is very true.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes the hill feels bigger than other days. But anyway. So what else are we going to talk about? Trump at the UN.
What's been happening in the news that we haven't mentioned?
Sorry?
Oh, that's what I was going to talk about briefly. I have started watching Hacked on ITV, or it's not called Hacked, is it? Something else? Is it Hacked?
I think it's just the Hack or Hack. Yeah.
Okay. Which is about the old News of the World scandal. And I'm only on episode 2 at the minute. But that journalist could not break that story, and he was a professional journalist, and nobody wanted to know. So it's very little wonder to me that we're in this situation right now.
Yeah, exactly.
It seems it was ever thus, but with the internet, we're made more aware of things we didn't know or wouldn't have known before.
Definitely.
So, you know, we've long had a press issue in this country. What about if we make a law that to public, I want to say publicate, but it's not the right word, is it? What's the word for producing newspapers?
Publish.
Okay, well, to own a publishing house for news, you need to be resident and a passport holder of the UK. It's radical.
Really?
I know it's radical.
Yeah, that would take a lot of people out of the equation.
If you don't, fuck off. Because there'll be somebody round the corner to take your spec who will.
Yeah, fair enough. That seems fair. That would take out people like Paul Marshall, the Barclay brothers. I can't remember the Rothermeres that own the Daily Mail, all that lot. Yeah, all live abroad. Murdochs, obviously. Yeah, that would be. Yeah, that would be worthwhile. I would say.
In the bin. We'll have new papers of record. We'll have new laws where you're not allowed to lie.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Which is only a law if you take somebody to court for defamation, which is fucking mental. These people should be held to a professional standard.
Yeah, for sure.
I thought they were. I'm an idiot.
But just on that then, just a part of my tweet that you mentioned a minute ago was the 3 publications, because we didn't mention who they were, and I just wanted to put them out because it's worthwhile saying that the Daily Mirror, people like Mikey Smith at Daily Mirror, Fleet Street Fox, people like that, they do actually hold up the Mirror properly. Byline Times, obviously, you know, they do a great job at this. And the New World magazine, which used to be New European, those 3 are what everyone on the right calls lefty rags, but they're not. They're just reporting accurately. The rest.
There was one I wanted to ask you about.
Yeah, go on.
Private Eye.
Yeah, the Eye. People mentioned a few others underneath, and yeah, the Private Eye definitely. They do some great investigative work, don't they? I didn't put them down because they're less of a reporting newspaper.
They're a weekly.
Yeah, a weekly funny, but they do some fantastic investigations, and they don't hold back. They're very non-partisan as well. I agree. Yeah,
they've been on the post office from the beginning, weren't they?
They were. They've been in and around all that stuff. So yeah, I should add them. Private Eye. But people were saying, what about the Guardian? But the Guardian have been more recently quite guilty of jumping on the Farage bandwagon, so I didn't include them. They used to be worthwhile, definitely, and they still are for the most part. But
yeah, if you follow Pippa Carrera,
yeah, well, she was the one I was thinking of when I thought about the Farage bandwagon. Yeah, exactly.
Pick a lane, lady.
Yeah, since she's moved to the Guardian, things have changed a little bit for her. But I guess it's, you know, you're dictated by cash at the end of the day, and all newspapers, well, certainly the Guardian needs money because it needs funding, and so people like Farage and Reform generate clicks and generate views. So that's the way these people make money nowadays.
It's all about keeping the news cycle running, isn't it? It's a sickness.
Me, yeah. It is.
It's a sickness.
But it's a cycle of destruction, as far as I can see. It's not. It can't end well. You know, this is just. I don't know. They just get someone sacked, move on to the next person. Nigel Farage says this, move on to the next person. I don't know. There's no fairness and there's no accuracy in the reporting. It's just about money. Apart from, yeah.
We've got to be as propagandized as North Korea.
Yeah, maybe. Certainly in some sectors, for sure. You look at things like the Daily Express or the Daily Mail or the Sun, definitely. Yeah, particularly the Express. They're nuts, aren't they? So, yeah.
Yeah, they
Actually,
are. They're still reporting that Princess Diana's died. Oh, hey, you laugh. That was in the Express every week for about 30 years. I wish I was joking. My mother used it as an excuse to have a brandy.
Really?
Oh, talking about Diana again. I need me brandy. Okay, let's hide him where you last did it, but you know.
Yeah, right.
Oh, yeah, that's how I know.
Fair enough. Oh, that's weird.
Her tragedy is my tragedy.
Then, yeah, I think the hatred of Meghan Markle took over from that with the Express for sure.
Could be. Do the same job, wouldn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So, right. Talking of unhinged behaviour. Oh yeah, did you see Boris Johnson got up and about this week? He's had an attack on reform. It's saying they're extremely dangerous, and he has serious anxieties about your Ukraine stance.
What I did see was not where you're going with it, admittedly. I did see that Bolsonaro and Sarkozy are going to prison. Next up, do that.
Yes. And potentially Javier Milei and what's his name? Giorgio
Javier Milei's in the shit, isn't he? I can't remember.
Javier Milei, that is Javier,
isn't it? He's destroyed the economy or something, hasn't he?
Yeah, Argentina's about to collapse into like bankruptcy.
In a surprise to nobody, because he's mad. He's clearly a madman.
But he's another Musk-backed madman, isn't he?
But he's very much in the Jimmy Savile bracket of, can anyone see what's wrong here?
Yeah. I know he's a crazy guy. Crazy man.
But say he's the file. But he's one of these people where you look at them, a bit like, I don't know, melty face Rod Stewart impersonator, plumbing man. Very much, you've clearly got problems. Just by looking at you, people can tell you're not the full shilling.
Yeah, that's fair. But I've been to Argentina. I've been to Buenos Aires, and I absolutely loved it. This was early 2000s. No, mid 2000s I went there. I absolutely loved Argentina. And I said,
did you get your Paso Doble on?
I did not. But I did go and see the grave of, oh God, what's she called? See, this is painkiller brain.
Evita.
Yes, there you go. Eva Peron.
She wasn't called Evita, was she? She was Eva
Peron. Yeah.
Peron, that's the one.
Yeah, we went to her grave. That was quite interesting. And the Hard Rock Cafe. I won't start
singing. Nobody wants that. But I could.
But I loved it. I wouldn't go back now, though, to Argentina. But I did really enjoy it.
Not while he's in charge, no.
No. But that's like so many countries are off limits now, aren't they? Like, I wouldn't touch America with a barge pole. They wouldn't let me in, but not after what I said to Cash Patel on Twitter last night, anyway.
What did you say to Cash Patel?
No, he was just
googly-eyed numbskull.
Tech bro in charge of the FBI. No, he put a post out about that latest shooting, which was yesterday, and there was a guy shooting at ICE agents,
and then killed actual not immigrants.
Yeah, and he put a picture out of some bullets, and said these are the bullets that they were used. And it said anti-ice on one. It had clearly been written on with a Sharpie afterwards because the rest were all wet, and that one was dry, and it had been scrawled on with a Sharpie. And I just said to him, I said, "Even
stupid do they think people are?"
Well, I said under Cash Patel's post, and I said, even from the UK, I can tell that's utterly bogus. And then I was like, don't tell JD Vance that I've snuck out a free speech there, because apparently we don't have any. Currently on 250,000 views, but yeah. So I don't think Cash Patel's going to let me into the US, into the States. But
I mean, He's just such a bad wanker. He's so stupid.
He really is.
Baffling.
It's crazy. As I mentioned really briefly earlier, I've been listening to this Rest is Declassified, and they did a big series about...
Who does that?
Yeah, they did a big series about 9/11 and the lead up to it and the hunt for...
I mean, who presents the show?
Sorry, it's Gordon Carrera and David McCloskey, I think. He's an ex-CIA agent and BBC journalist, and they're really good, actually. I'm sort of bigging up other podcasts, but they did this sort of big series about the hunt for bin Laden and, you know, after 9/11 and how the CIA dealt with it. And it made me think about the seriousness that was involved in that hunt for bin Laden over like 2 decades and all the different directors of the FBI and the CIA. And eventually, you know, they got him. But now they've got Kash Patel and Kristi Noem. Can you imagine if something really, really bad happened now in America and that those two are in charge of finding out who did it? It just doesn't bear thinking about.
Trump's first practice run, let's call it, because I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
The people underneath him in the military largely ignored him, didn't they?
They did.
And they had to play games with him to stop him being mental and causing monumental disaster. But this time around, he's sacked everybody. So there's no one to put the brakes on. And the CIA, the FBI, every single institution in America, all the good people have been booted. All the people who'd stand there and go, that's not right, have been binned.
Yep. I know. It's just mad.
So
it just doesn't bear. It's like, you know, when 9/11 happened and all the behind the scenes stuff that was going on with the you know, the sort of NSA and the CIA and the FBI and how hard they had to work and what they had to put on the line to deal with that. If something, God forbid, happened like that now, they couldn't cope. The whole infrastructure of the US government would collapse, like, because there's nobody credible or sensible in position. Like you just said, he's hoofed everyone else out and he's put in tech bros and Instagram influencers at the top of the bloody tree. It's just ridiculous. Sorry, a weird rant about American bureaucracy, but yeah, it's very strange. It's just, it makes you wonder how it's going to pan out over there, because there's nothing good's coming of it. But anyway, yeah. Talking of Trump, did you see his speech at the UN? It was absolutely off the charts.
I've largely avoided it, as I do with things that are of no import, really. Because, you know, what's going to come of it? Oh, he's just humiliated himself again. Okay. Fill me in.
He did.
Tell me all about it.
And I didn't watch the whole thing. I was just going to draw attention to one specific thing, which they seem to have latched onto in Magaland. Here it is. So if you didn't see it, Trump delivered a speech at the UN on Wednesday, I think it was. And as he arrived, him and Melania were walking in to the building. They approached the escalator. What do Americans call that? Don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, it's an escalator, isn't it?
Do they? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You know, I'm reading it on my screen from the New York Post. Yes, it's escalator. I'm thinking elevator. That's where I'm getting confused. Anyway, as they hit the bottom of the escalator, it stopped. It cut out. You know, like that happens if sometime, you know, it's a safety device. Yeah. If there's a button at the top, isn't there? But what it turns out was that one of Trump's team had run ahead and just triggered the safety device at the top of the escalator just at the same time as he'd hit the bottom. And so it hit the safety function. So they had to walk up the escalators. And then when he got on stage,
exercise.
yeah, I know. A lot of people said that they're amazed that he made it. But anyway, I just wondered if it had detected it couldn't detect his hands. But anyway, his teleprompter didn't work when he got on stage as well. So he couldn't read off the teleprompter. And so he had to read from his big book of big, bold letters. And he went on, I think he mentioned it something like 11 times in a 50-minute speech. He mentioned the escalators and the teleprompter not working. So he was clearly exercised about it. And
literally,
they've basically
that was his problem. They made him exercise. It could have killed him.
Yeah. But in 2 days, it's gone from an accident and a tech failure to Trump says UN escalator outage was absolutely sabotage and calls for arrests. What? They're absolutely off their fucking nuts, these people.
What does he have to do for people to realise he's insane and arrest him? What does he have to do? Run around the White House lawn naked with a dummy up his arse or something?
Yeah, they'll have Kash Patel to say that it never happened if he did that. It's just... They've manufactured this complete outrage and created, they think it was an assassination attempt on him because an escalator stopped because one of his own team accidentally stopped the escalator.
I mean, to be fair, if they mean it could have given him a heart attack, that's a fair point.
Yeah, I don't think it would take much, really.
Other than that, they're deflecting from something else, aren't they? It's just...
Yeah, it's mad. I mean, his whole speech was completely off the rails, and he went on about Sadiq Khan, how London was going to Sharia law.
Sadiq Khan really is living rent-free in his head, isn't he?
Yeah, really does, doesn't he?
He should proper have a spangling match with him and get some, like, advertising contracts or something.
Yeah.
That's how the game's played.
Well, he's putting a UFC cage fighting on in the White House lawn, isn't he? So he can...
Is that going ahead, is it?
Apparently so, next year, yeah.
Well, in that case, we'll make that. We'll have a pod MMA night, and I'll do the colour commentary for it, and I'll tell you exactly who's going to win, who's going to lose, and who's an absolute bell. It'll be full of them.
Cool. Sounds good. Yeah, that'd be a late night one, wouldn't it? So yeah, we could definitely do that. It'll be good fun.
Oh, what it's going to be are a load of unbelievably hardcore Christo-nationalist retired fighters looking for a bit of a spotlight and a payday, fighting other has-beens just for a bit of attention.
Yeah,
that's what
fair
it'll
enough.
be. And it'll be Dana White jizzing himself. Oh, it appalls me. The whole thing just appalls me. And it's devastating because it is an unbelievable... When you take that promotion bit away from it, as a purist sport, there's nothing like it. It takes a long time to learn and understand, and even longer to learn to do it. But it's incredible. It's the best. It's like it's the closest we're going to get to being back in Roman times, isn't it? Literally hand to hand.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I never thought of it like that, but it is. Yeah, you're right. My brother absolutely loves it as well. He stays up all the time to watch it in the night, and yeah. But just on that, I'm going to put a clip in if I can get away with the copyright. I should be able to. It's off of Instagram, but my mate Paul, who I've mentioned a few times, sent me it today, and it's the highlights, or let's say lowlights, of Trump's speech at the UN. So I'll probably put that in at the end because it's just funny. Yeah, it's bizarre. I'll try and get it done before my MRI in the morning. And I've got 2 good news stories that I want to say. So have you got anything else you want to
split this pod up again?
Yeah. Oh, God. No, we can't. No, right. What have you got left?
Nothing.
No? Okay.
I'm giving people
the first good news story is also about America, and it's about Jimmy Kimmel being put back on air.
Of course.
Yeah. Because
that was a hilarious cue to Trump, wasn't it?
Yeah, I know. Did you see what he said last night when he came back on? And he said well, he was quite... I mean, he wasn't outright, like, dissing Trump, but he kind of didn't mess about. But again, I'll see if I can... I'll put a link to it because it is worth doing, and it just shows you that I think boycotts work. As soon as they pulled Jimmy Kimmel, Disney lost something like $3.87 billion in 24 hours in their share price. So because of the boycotts and people cancelling Disney Plus. So,
that would take Nigel Farage 20 years to save using the immigrant structure he was talking about.
Yeah, we've got a sliding scale for value add.
Billions.
And the last thing I want to say, I texted you last week, didn't I? I said I'd lost my wallet and I was dealing with all the shenanigans that go along with it and having to reorder my credit cards and driving license.
Tell me you found it.
Well, I was driving to Bristol this morning to get a haircut, and I got a random number on my phone, just rang, and the guy said, "Oh, hi, is that Don?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Oh, have you lost a wallet?" I'm like, Yeah, last week I did. Yeah, I think it was last Wednesday, so it's like 8 days ago. I dropped it in the local town, and he said, "Oh, I think I found it. Well, I have found it." He said it was in the recess in the bonnet of his car, so like where the windscreen wipers go. So it must have been there for a week, and basically he'd been parked next to me in Nailsworth when I'd been to Tesco's, and I'd obviously fell out my pocket. Someone must have walked along, put it on his windscreen, and then he hadn't noticed, driven off, and it slid into the windscreen wiper bit. And then a week later, he found it. So he rang me up and he said, "Oh, do you want to come in?" Absolutely everything, yeah. And so I went and picked it up from him. I mean, I cancelled all my cards. All the new ones arrived this morning.
Yeah, but...
So all my credit cards and bank cards arrived this morning, and my driving license, which was quite quick.
So we don't need to start calling you Susan Hall then?
No.
You didn't get mugged in the car park now?
No, I didn't get mugged in the car park. But yeah, I just thought that was a really nice thing because, you know, it just restored my faith. Because I don't have my contact details on anything. I was like, "How did you find me?" My phone number, because he phoned me. And he said, "Well, he's in his 70s, I'd say, this guy. Really nice guy, lives out in the middle of nowhere in the countryside near Stroud." He said, "Well, my wife's father was a policeman, so she's been doing some detective work, and she couldn't get you on Twitter, she couldn't get you on Facebook." I was like, "No, they're all locked down." She said, "Well, she eventually said, 'Have you tried LinkedIn?' And I said to him, 'I haven't been on LinkedIn in years.' He said, 'No, I had to sign up for a premium account.'" So he signed up for a premium account on LinkedIn, and he backtracked some old data to an old Instagram account, which still had a WhatsApp button on it from my old photography account. And he'd found me that way, which is I've now removed that because, troll. But I didn't. I thought I'd got rid of all my contact details, but he'd gone to great lengths to find me and find my phone number, and he did. I know, and I just thought that was fantastic.
They still exist.
Yeah.
To go to all that trouble, and
exactly.
To be able to do all that with all due respect, but knowing what I'm like at their age.
Yeah, easily mid to late 70s. Yeah, because when he said to me, he said, "I live in the countryside." I couldn't have done that. Well, he said, "Do you know Chalford?" And I said, "Yeah, I know Chalford. It's a little village." He said, "Oh, we live a bit." He said, "Do you have what 3 words?" I'm like, "Yeah, I've got that app on my phone. Have you used that?" Do you know what 3 words? No, it's an app you can get, and it pinpoints. It has a meter square for every position in the whole country, and it gives you a random 3 words, and that pinpoints you to 1 meter squared anywhere in the country. And he sent me he said, "Have you got what 3 words?" I said, "Yeah, I've got it from scouting." He sent me the what 3 words, and it took me right to his front gate. I was like, "Oh, fantastic. This guy's very tech savvy at 70, whatever." So, yeah. So I'd just like to say thank you to David for doing that for me. Not that he'll listen to this, but, I just think it's nice to be nice. And he went to a lot of effort to get my wallet back to me, which he did.
It's incredible.
Yeah. It's a nice one.
Good people still exist.
Yes.
How lovely.
And on that massive bombshell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On that shock ending.
Yeah,
good people exist. Right.
Good people really do exist. Well, we've had Gary on, and Gary's a lovely man.
This is true.
Clearly. So, a double good news week. So, yeah. So that's that.
Anywho, Don, who have we got coming up next week?
Good question. He says reaching for the calendar and getting the wrong calendar again.
Who it is?
Do you know who it is? Can you say who it is? Because I can't remember.
It's Narinder Kaur, Don.
Is that next week?
I know this because I have to be out of hospital by then to do it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Big guest news for next week. Yeah, we've got Narinder off of the telly. Narinder's brilliant, and if you don't follow her on Twitter, she's an absolute, staunch advocate for anti-racism campaigns, and she's very vocal on politics and standing up to particularly the fascists and the right, and I can't wait to chat to her properly. So yeah, that's a good one.
Well, if you think I don't hold back, wait for Narinder.
Yeah, I bet you. Yeah, it might be a
It's going to be a
three-parter.
lively one.
Yeah. So that's next week's guest, which is going to be really cool. So yeah, so let's say thanks again to Gary, because much appreciated to him to come on and give us an hour of his time to talk about autism. Very enlightening and informative, which is brilliant. So
he's a wonderful people champion. He really is.
Yeah. If you don't, I'll put a link to his account on Twitter, because it's worth following, because he's just very positive, and it's just like we just sort of talked about a second ago. It's nice to have positivity for a change.
No, he's very sage.
That's it. Yes. And so we're now on 2 hours.
Right. Should we
let's knock it off. Yeah.
Oh God.
I'll have to crack on with some editing this evening. Right, cool. That's enough from me. I'm going to stop rabbiting, and we will see you next week. Thanks for listening.
Please hit like, share, subscribe, and thank you for getting to the end. You're very clever.
Have a good weekend. See you next week.
Bye, everyone. See ya.